All right. I think we in the house. Yo, man. Um, Hope you're ready to work out, baby. Before we go work out, we about to work out real quick. Good morning, millionaires. Let me call in on this live line. Let's get busy. Hold on. It's check-in time. Let's go. Somebody asked, how do I call in on a live line without it starting to charge me? T-Mobile charges in. All you have to do is text call me to the same number.
You have greatness
if you text call me
this is Les
to
Brown,
667-776-9461, you in the house.
We're going to bring the millionaire.
Please enter your...
Everybody with me?
Thank you. Please announce yourself.
Make sure you like, comment, share.
All participants are muted. Entry and exit tones are off.
Crystal was like, where you at? Everybody's getting restless. Listen, I'm going through this process of closing on this house. And until then, baby, everything is weird, man. It's all good, though. We're going to make it through. How's everybody feeling this morning? If you don't know, my name is Haziq Ali. If someone invited you here, they got a lot of love for you. So make sure you love them back. And this is called Good Morning Millionaire. This is basically a show for entrepreneurs and the mindset, the skill set, and the heart set that help entrepreneurs go further, faster, with less effort. A couple Fridays a month, we usually do free coaching Friday. You know, how do I get the questions? I get them from you. I get them from you responding to the newsletters we put out. I get them from you responding to the different content. Whether it be the newsletters, it be inboxes. Sometimes it's text messages, you know what I mean? But I am here for you, and I hope that comes through. Let them know where you're from in the comments. We want to know where we got family at, you know? And while you're doing that, you know, let's just talk about the fact that probably the most powerful skill set that you have as an entrepreneur is your ability to ask questions. This is probably like the most important aspect, the most important piece of making a sale. But it's also most people that I coach, it's their major weakness. Most salespeople that I've run into, it's their major weakness. You hear me, Miss Connor? My man David Ruffin is in the house. Yeah, Miss Tyler's in the building. Okay, the indicators where it's greater. You know what I mean? All right. So if it's the most important part of a sale and it's most people's major weakness, it's kind of an enigma to me. Questions are so critical. You would think that that's the main training thing of every entrepreneur. You would feel like that'd be the topic of training every single day, every single week, every single month. And yet, most salespeople you meet, especially in the world of home-based businesses, especially in the world of small, sort of like mom and pop businesses, especially in the world of being a solopreneur, they probably never took one training program in how to ask questions. Is that crazy? Where are you supposed to learn this stuff? Are we supposed to get it from our parents? Were they these magical entrepreneurs? Are we supposed to get it from our friends? Are they out here just getting real money? You know what I mean? What are we supposed to get it from? Our high school teacher, our college teacher? Are they rich? No, they're a teacher, right? In the public school system or in some collegiate school system. You should Google adjunct professor and see how much they make. Now there are some teachers that make some pretty good money. They have what's called tenure, but I don't know about you. When I was in college, the professors that had tenure were the worst professors on the whole campus. It's like they'd lost all joy for what they do. They'd lost all ability to innovate, all ability to make it exciting. Tenure seemed to be an ambition killer. So we're not going to go off that. What we're going to say is it's time for us to teach ourselves. And that's why I'm proud of you for being here this morning. What are some of the benefits of asking really good questions so that it can motivate us to get better? What are some of the benefits, Shalonda? Yeah, checking in from Conyers. What's up, girl? Here are like, I give you like 10 of them, right? Here are 10 different benefits to you kind of like asking questions before you try and jump right into the sale. Write this down, y'all. Put as many of these in your power book as you can. I'm going to throw them on the screen as y'all type them out. First is qualifying a buyer, right? That's a big reason to ask more questions. Second, establishing rapport. As we know, if you're millionaire minded, 80%, if I had a pie chart of the sale, 80% of that sale is going to be the rapport. The third one is creating prospect disparity. Disparity. I want you to write that word down. That's a good word. That's a good word. Create prospect disparity. Anybody know what disparity means? I love that word because it's referring to the difference between, right, where they want to be and where they are. You can hear also the word despair in it. There's something to be said for once you find a problem, you asking them questions that exacerbate the problem, that make them focus on, damn, this problem's way worse than I'm probably, you know what? I should probably get us a little more attention than I've been giving it. That's what you can do with the power of questions. Here's the fourth one. Eliminate or differentiate from the competition. A good question will help you completely eliminate the competition, or at worst, it'll help you differentiate yourself from them. Here's the fifth one. Build credibility. Do you know a lot of times people don't even judge you by your answers? They judge you by your questions. You can get, that's why you have to remind people there's no such thing as a stupid question. I don't know. As an entrepreneur, it's kind of like such a thing as a stupid question. Somebody give me that in the comments. There is such a thing as a stupid question when you're in business. See, because certain things you should have researched in advance, certain things you should know already. But when you have done that research in advance, a question will help you build credibility. And that's number 5. Number 6 is questions help you know the customer and know her business, right? What's another thing that questions do? Questions help you identify needs. Am I right? A good question helps you identify the needs of the people you're kicking it with. You can also take it a step further for number 8, and we'll say help you find hot buttons. Hot buttons. What are hot buttons? Hot buttons are those ones that when you push those, it's like, ouch, right? It moves a little quicker. Or it's like, woo, it moves a little quicker, right? Hot button. It's either representing pain or representing gain. But the way you discover those hot buttons is questions. And then, of course, number 9 is to build your personnel file. Y'all knew that was coming. Build your personnel file, right? And then the last one is, of course, you can close the sale with a good question. If you follow Millionaire Minded, I teach you that rapport is the beginning. Rapport is 80% of it, right? Then after rapport comes the icebreaker, where you turn casual conversation into cash conversation. Number 3 is the close. And then after you close them, you can do a presentation. Number 4 is a presentation. Those are the 4 core skills: rapport, icebreaker, close, and presentation. I can ask a question that closes the sale. I can ask a question that closes him on wanting a presentation. But it takes me understanding what I'm doing this for, why I should do it more. You hear me? And then how to do it. All these answers that I just now gave you come from asking the right questions. Do you, millionaire, and I've asked this question before, I'm going to ask it again, right? Because I've given you a little bit of time to come up with some of this. Check it out. Do you have 25 of the most powerful questions that you could create at your fingertips right now? Do you have a list of 25 of the best questions? We did a whole Kaizen Academy class on just questions, but if you didn't take that class and you're like, no, don't feel too bad. You're like 95% of the world. 95% of the salespeople on the planet have to say no to that. And that could be why only 5% rise to the top. That's just the theory, but it makes you say, like, what could I be doing to change my skills so I can change my ability to pay some bills and buy some buildings, et cetera, et cetera? You hear me? Here's your challenge. Write this down. Get the prospect to say, Nobody ever asked me that before. I'm gonna tell you how long I've been on this. I remember when I interviewed Kanye West, because we used to have like a TV show and all of that. And I interviewed him, and this was always my goal. And I have it on tape. I need to load that on my YouTube channel. I got it on tape where I was talking to Kanye, and he was like, man, nobody ever asked me that before. That should be your challenge, to get that person to say, nobody ever asked me that before. So I'm going to give you 7 different strategies that you can use to get that out of people. And then I'm going to give you like some real life things to think about. So here's the first strategy that I'll give you. Here's the first strategy I'll give you. Here's the first one. Ask the prospect questions that make him evaluate new information. Somebody say that in the comments. Make them look at new information and then give me a share. Make them look at new information and then give them a share. I dare you. That's a strategy. If I'm talking to a client and, they're running their business on their personal credit, maybe I ask them, I say, do you realize that most businesses go out of business because they're using their personal credit? That's going to make them evaluate new information. Y'all with me? Y'all with me? A second way to do it is if I ask questions that qualify needs, then make sure that they have a need for this, right? So again, if I'm on that same business credit tip, then maybe I ask them something like, so if you had an extra $100,000 in spending power or extra $50,000 in spending power, where would you put that money? You hear me? You hear me? Check it out. Now you're asking them questions that make sure that they even need this. Because if their answer to that is, I have no need for $50,000, you know what I mean? Then boom, they don't have a need for it. But at the point they answer that, and they answer that with some relevance, you just qualified it, baby. You're now creating a buying atmosphere, not a selling atmosphere, but a buying atmosphere. Everybody with me? Here's a third one. Here's a third strategy. Ask questions about improving productivity, right? Improving product, improving savings, improving profit, right? So put that in the comments and then give me a share. Ask improvement questions. Ask improvement questions. How much would it help you if you had, going with that same example from earlier, how much would it help you if you had an extra $50,000? Or if they told me that extra $50,000 would help them get this new stove, I could ask them, now, how much more would you be able to bake every week with that new stove? They ain't thought of that before, right? They're thinking about it, and it's an ethereal concept. It's an intangible. They're like, man, I do need a new stove. But when you ask them and make them quantify it, you see how that starts to build your credibility? You see how that starts to make you feel more powerful? Because instead of you just throwing it out there, you're making them tabulate. You're making them calculate how much money they're losing not spending this money with you. Am I making sense? The fourth one, this one's pretty easy, right? Ask questions about company goals. Ask questions about personal goals. Ask questions about goals. See, what a lot of us do is we find they got a problem and we jump right into our sales pitch. You ain't pumped that thing enough yet, baby. How many of y'all remember, I could be dating myself, but y'all remember lawnmowers? Does anybody still use lawnmowers? Or do all y'all just, do any of y'all remember, especially the fellas out there, my man Michael Allison, you remember lawnmowers, dog. You remember how you used to have to prime that joint and you pull that joint out? But first you had to prime that joint. What you're doing right now is you're priming the cell. You're priming the cell. You ain't just gonna run the lawnmower dry. You gotta pump that thing. Am I making sense? Now that you know some of their goals, now you know some of their company's goals, I'm going to tell you something. That's a powerful question when you're an employee. You know how I always say even employees can be entrepreneurs, y'all. Y'all heard me talk about that. How all business owners ain't entrepreneurs, all entrepreneurs ain't business owners. You can be an entrepreneur as an employee. And this is one of the ways you do it, right? Ask questions about the goals. What are the company's goals this month? What are the company's goals for your department this month? But I digress. We're talking about also with clients. What are their goals? How many clients could they reach if they had that expanded capacity? Still focused on the business credit example. Is everybody with me? Ask more questions about their company goals or their personal goals. And before you know it, instead of the little idea you had about something you were going to offer them, you're going to think of 2 or 3 more things. You hear me? Here's number 5. Ask questions. This is the 5th strategy I got for you. This is the 5th strategy I got for you. Everybody with it? Some of y'all, you're like, no, I don't know nothing about mowing no lawn. I understand. All right, here's the 5th one. Ask questions that separate you from your competition, not compare you to them. Ask questions that separate you from your competition, not compare you to them. So what's an example of that? If I was talking about business credit, then I would talk about the fact that in our program, there's a $50,000 funding guarantee that we're going to hold your hand and walk you through the entire process until you've gotten that $50,000 in funding. We're not going to say, oh, well, they charge this much, we're going to charge this much. That would be making them compare us. What we want to do is be unique. We want to be outstanding. We want to stand out. We don't want to be a commodity. Once you start allowing yourself to be compared to the competition, you become a commodity. And commodity is something you buy based on price, like oranges or rice. You buy strictly based on price. That ain't the play. The play is you want to separate yourself from everybody else so that you are a standalone thing. That makes your price go up. That makes their appreciation for you grow up. That makes your pride level go up. All of a sudden, you are embracing the fact that you're different from everything else out there. And who knows what else you may add on to make yourself irresistible to the kind of customer you serve with the kind of problem that you solve. But it all starts with these questions. A lot of times, if you ask the right questions, it'll help you come up with the things that can make you uniquely valuable to your perfect kind of customer. The 6th strategy, right? That's right. Y'all are catching it. The 6th strategy, ask questions that make the customer think before they give a response. Like that one I gave you earlier about how many more cakes, how many more muffins, how many more cookies, if this is a bakery, would they be able to create? How many more products? How many more services? How much more marketing would you be able to do if you had this extra $50,000? And then how much do you normally get for every dollar you spend on marketing? What are the different marketing channels you use? If you had some extra money, what other marketing channels would you jump into that you aren't using so far? They're like, dang, man, he's right. I need to be using TikTok more. I ain't even say nothing. All I did was ask him the question. And they like, he's right. But I ain't say nothing. I asked them. I'm learning. But you see that? What a powerful thing where I can learn at the same time they're boosting my credibility. I hope I'm making sense to somebody out there. And then the 7th strategy is that you want to ask questions. You want to ask power questions that create a buying atmosphere, not a selling atmosphere. Like I love questions like, my sister-in-law has a restaurant and she just got $50,000 in funding. You want to know how she did it? Right? We call that benefit plus permission. Somebody type that in the comments and give me a sale. Give me a share. Give me a sale. Freudian slip. Check it out. Somebody put benefit plus permission. That's one of the most simple formulas that you can use to ask a closing question, right? Benefit, my buddy. Let's say I get in an Uber. And I talk to the Uber driver, and I say to the Uber driver, "Hey, yo, one of my best friends drives Uber, and now she's up to like an extra $400, $500 a week that has nothing to do with her driving. You want to know how she did it? Would you be interested in something like? Would it be okay if I put you on the phone with her? Not would you be interested in? Not would you be interested in? Would you be okay with that? Would that be cool? Would that be something would that be something you would want? Would she be somebody you'd want to talk to? Would it be okay if I had her talk to you? Would is a really strong word. Would is a really strong word for creating a buying atmosphere, not a selling atmosphere. And if you want to really big up your listening skills, if you want to get way better at listening, write down their answers. We call that personnel file. Write down their answer. It shows you care. It preserves that data for later so you can follow up with them. It keeps the record straight. It makes them feel important. You know what another word for important is? Noteworthy. Y'all ever heard that? Noteworthy. That's a clue. Noteworthy. Noteworthy, y'all. You find them worthy of taking notes? Wow. So, some bad examples of questions, would be like, what type of life insurance do you have? They answer and then they shutting up, right? Do you have a smartphone? Right? These are bad questions. If I was selling long distance, I was like, who do you currently use for long distance? These are horrible questions. Here are better questions. Instead of asking about what kind of life insurance do you have, what if I asked, if your husband died, how would the house payments be made? You see that? How would the children go to college? You see that? That's a much better version of that. Instead of smartphone, what if I'm like, if your most important customer called right now, how would you get the message? Right? Instead of asking them what kind of service they have, some old yes or no, one word answer type question. What if I said, if your long distance charges are 30% higher than they should be, how would you know? Right? If your interest rate on your car was 10% more than it should be, how would you know? Whoa. Instead of asking them, what's their credit score, or, how much is their car note? Because these are good questions, but even if they tell you how much their car note is, it still don't create a buying atmosphere. But what if you ask them, how would you know if they're charging you 50% more than they should for your car note? How would you know? Y'all see how powerful that can be for you? These are questions that make the buyer think in terms of their own problems. It makes the buyer think in terms of their own interest. And the last thing on their mind is you being a salesperson. You done taken, somebody write this in the comments. This is important. Questions are the transportation system for the human consciousness. Questions are the transportation system for the human consciousness. I dare you get better at asking questions. Hope this was helpful, y'all. Write them joints down in your power notes. My man used to sell cable. And instead of just coming at him the normal way when he's trying to sell packages, he'll be like, Mrs. Jones, if you had your own cable channel, if you could create your own cable channel, what would be on it? Right? If you owned your own cable channel, what would be on it? Wow. What a question. It draws out all the likes. It draws out all the dislikes of the customer. It puts every answer in terms of the sale that's being made. You hear me? Let's say it's affirmation time, y'all. Start calling in right now. Start calling in right now. I know we ran over a little bit, but rewind this. Make sure you jot all of these down. Let's say I train salespeople, which I do, right? If I'm walking into the guy that writes the checks, how I used to play it with him is I'd be like, how many of your salespeople didn't meet their goals last year? Right? I'm gonna start off with something like that. Why? Like what was the major cause? Why you think they didn't make their goals? Maybe for a third question, I'd be like, what plans do you have to ensure that they make their goals this time? Right? What personal development plan do you have in place for every salesperson that you have on staff? How do you support your sales staff? How much training did you budget last year? How much you wish you would have budgeted? Right? When you train them, how do you measure their progress? Right? When you do pay for training, how do you make sure that this person's growing as fast as this person? You see what I'm saying? That's 7, 8 questions, man, that I can use to create what's called a buying atmosphere. And from there it's on. I hope I'm making sense, right? It ain't just asking questions, y'all. It's asking the right questions. Was this helpful? Was this helpful? All right, y'all. We out of here. Repeat after me. Say it like you mean it. It's affirmation time, y'all. It's affirmation time. Let's get it. Say it like you mean it.